Yeah, every time I go to record, there's tools and drills everywhere. You can't be doing that. I think we're finally set. Got a bad cable over here, so I'm going to need to address that, and I don't know, maybe a bad connection on the mic. Anyway, Rick in with you from the War Room, and I'm going to talk a little bit today about a ride I took last week, and my trusty journal is coming in handy for documenting everything. So I went up to Todd Lake. This is in Central Oregon off the Cascade Lakes Highway, and they've been opening and closing the main gate there. The reason they have a gate is so that when it's all muddy and mucky, people don't get out there and tear up the roads and everything like that. When it's really wet, you can get out there and really kind of damage them. So they try to keep them in good shape by not allowing people to get up there and travel out there. So they've opened and closed these things 3 times in the last 3 weeks. And I went up there because I knew from my weekend before that they told me they were going to open them on Monday. So I drove up there, and we're going to watch some of the video of that now. Just going through the gate here. And it's a windy service road. It's not really maintained for traffic or for motor cars, but motor cars. But if you have anything with any type of clearance, you can usually make it up there. And there are some ruts, and there's some places where streams and small creeks that flow from the runoff kind of go through there and put gullies and things in the road. So I get up to the top here, and I'm going around the corner here, and I see a lot of straightway here by the meadow. And so I'm gassing it, and I forgot that halfway through there's a gully from a runoff. Now, it's not full of water right now, but it's fairly deep, and so I'm in full lockup, and fortunately it wasn't disastrous, but had I not seen it until the last second, that could have been. So now I'm going to continue up, and before too long, I run into some traffic. Now, one person I'm pretty sure is just going to turn off at the Broken Top exit up here. 380 goes up to 370, or vice versa. 370 goes up to 380, and they're not letting me by though, so we're going over, and I'm waiting, and never waved me by, so I'm just being patient. And we've got some hills here, so rather than just kind of stick right behind them and burn up my clutch, I just kind of wait at the bottom for them to get up, and then I proceed so that I can just kind of tractor up the thing. Okay, so finally, after it's probably a mile and a half at least, they turn off, and now I'm just stuck behind 4 service rigs. I'm not sure what they're doing up here. I thought at first they were maybe kind of clearing off some stuff that was still in the way, but we can see by this video here they just kind of drive around it. So I guess maybe it was just a hard day at the office. Everybody has these Mondays where they need to get away. Maybe they grabbed some ice cream, got in the cars, and decided to go hit the trails. So I'm stuck behind them for a considerable amount of time, and we go over a few obstacles here and there and get through some water. Now, this last stream, and I'm going to go through here in just a second. This last stream, I think they finally figure out, hey, maybe we can let this guy by. So they let me by, kind wave, and I'm off. And this is a fun road to go down. And there are some, depending on the time of the year, it's going to dry up here towards the end of August at the very latest. But now, when I was first coming up here, along with the creeks and streams that would run across, I would occasionally run into some snowbanks, so I just would power over those. And lots of places to sit in the shade if you're getting hot or just want to take a break. But I was really worried about these Forest Service vehicles catching up with me, and I didn't want to get stuck behind them again, so I kept on. Now, when I first got my DR650, it came with the dreaded trail wings, or death wings as they are nicknamed, and I didn't really know a lot about them. I didn't know what their reputation was. I'd grown up down in the Willamette Valley, and it's a lot of hard-packed clay, And there are some hard-packed areas up here in Central Oregon, but it goes from hard-packed to soft, squishy sand with no notice whatsoever. And so when I first got my bike, I was out there. I remember going down some trails, and I remember finding myself smiling as I was going down the trails like I used to when I was a kid on my little XR75. That was my first motorcycle, little Honda XR75. And so I was having a blast. Well, I was out on a trail one day. This was probably, I don't know, I'd owned the bike for more than a year and hadn't got a whole lot of chance to ride it. It took me a little over a year just to put 600 miles on the bike. So you can tell I wasn't riding it a lot. And, you know, when you go down some trails and stuff like that and you come back, trails take a while because you're not going, 70 miles an hour down them. But I would get into the squishy sand, and I knew I was moving around, and I'd read some or seen some YouTube videos, and yeah, you're going to do that. Well, then I crashed. And I was just like, holy cow, what's going on here? And so I got up and got back on the bike, and it was a little bit of scratching on the side of one of the rear panels there, and on the side of my engine case. And I mean, but it was fine. I was scraped up a little bit, got back on. I'd crashed as a kid. It was no big deal. You get up. And then it happened again soon after that. And I'm like, what is going on here? And it never really even occurred to me that it was the tires, because these tires were hardly slicks. They did have, sort of knobbies on them, these trail wings. So finally, I start reading up, and after, I'm kind of paranoid. I thought I actually lost a little bit of my riding ability. I started hearing all these people, and they're all complaining about the same thing. They wash out. They get in soft dirt or sand, and they plow. They wash out when you get in. They just grab, and then you go over the handlebars, and there you are. So a lot of recommendations. I ended up going with a Golden Boy, or I don't know what can it is. It's a Golden Boy something on the front, but it has reasonable knobbies on there. Did a great job. But what I really wanted was Dunlop D606. They didn't have it. Well, I ended up getting one on the back, and between the Golden Boy on the front and the Dunlop on the back, I've got legs again. I can actually, if I get into a little bit of trouble, there's some correction time there. And so that was really exciting to be able to hit things at speed again. And of course, when you're on sand like this is turning into a mess. You got to be up on the pegs a lot. And if you've never ridden in the soft stuff, if you've mainly been a street rider or just never really been on a bike, standing up on the pegs really lowers your center of, should I say, it doesn't lower your center of gravity, but it lowers your point of control. When you're trying to balance the bike from the seat, as opposed to putting weight on the pegs, well, the seat is quite a bit further up on the bike. So when you're standing on the pegs, and you're able to lean back and forth, and plus you're gripping the bike and the gas tank with your legs, those two, you really have a way of stabilizing the bike. If you get into any kind of imbalance and you're on the seat, it's much more difficult to react, and your center of control is much higher on the seat as it would be on the pegs, of course. So just bear that in mind if you're a new rider, and you get into some stuff that's rocky or loose traction, gravel, sand for sure. You should be up on the pegs and in a slightly crouched position. I try. I mean, they say you should evenly spread your weight over both wheels with your shoulders over the handlebars. For me, I tend to favor the rear tire a little bit, because I found the motorcycle a lot like a jet ski. When you go to give it power, that if you get into trouble, you can give it power and kind of correct your attitude there, depending on if you're balancing to the left or to the right, and then enter in the counterbalancing of throwing the bike over on one side and you're leaning to the other. There's a lot of different techniques, and I'll get into some of those videos later on. So when you're in the sand like this, you really gotta pay attention. Now I come up, and I'm going through a logging area. Now, when I was up here a few weeks ago, there was logging rigs and stuff like that, but the road wasn't torn up like it is now. I mean, there are sand ridges and stuff all over the place. And I'm rolling up, and here's this bobcat. And it's just sitting there with the loader up, and I'm looking around, and I don't see anybody. Now watch. The first time I see these guys is when I'm editing this video. They're right there. Here, I'll still shot it. They're right there. And I just took off and went underneath it. I'm sure I rooster-tailed them as I was going through there. I had no idea they were there. I was looking around, this camera's on my handlebars. I should have probably said that a while ago. But this camera's on my handlebars, and so you can't catch my head movement. So I just go right there under the bucket, and then my camera picks up these two guys working on this bobcat on the other side. I had no idea they were even there, and I looked for somebody. So back onto the sand, and going down this road again, and it's throwing me around a little bit. I did have to stop for water, and then finally the sand right about here, and this is probably about 2 to 3 miles, I imagine, after I first got on it. Now it turns into more of a forest road, and then finally back into a finely groomed gravel road. And this actually turns into we went from 380 to 4601, which was that sandy mess back where they were logging, and 4601 turns into Skyliner, that goes back into Bend here in Central Oregon. And so I just finish up my drive, take a couple selfies so that I can post onto Instagram and Facebook. So I get home. It was a pretty good ride, and the recycle bin's out. And I already did this once earlier, and I didn't have the GoPro on, so you'll get to see. The recycling bin is a much bigger trash can at our house. I don't know if it is for you. So I pull up. You got to set it up, get it all positioned right. There we go. I think I kind of just did a circle 8 here. Yeah, and good speed, momentum, there you go. So this is how you can be a lazy guy after a good day of riding. And you just take it up to the house, drop it off. There you go. All right. Well, Rick Olson in the War Room signing off. If you like my channel, make sure you subscribe to it. I've got other videos, not just about my DR650 and the mods, but about the weight loss and everything that's going on with that. So you can check out the other stuff. And then just interesting things that I find maybe a little bit fascinating, and I think maybe you will too. So good to see you, and we'll see you back here soon. Can't be doing that.